when you're feeding fish, it's really good if one person is responsible for feeding. It's a really bad idea that mum feeds, dad feeds, kids feed, because you'll find that some days everyone will feed and some days no one will feed. It's much better if there's just one single person responsible for feeding the fish, and then over time we can train that one person to make sure that the fish are getting the food. And then if we can identify if individuals are getting fat or skinny, then we can advise you on what to do about it. And that's really hard if we're trying to do it with multiple people. And these convict fish, when they're breeding, they get very, very aggressive. So generally, if you get one of them, they're okay. But this guy, if you get him a girlfriend, then often what he'll do is barricade off one whole side of the tank, and everyone else has to live in that corner. So convicts are often fine until they try to breed. Then they go into like hyper nesting phase, which often takes up your whole tank. Put the blue light on, and it makes all the fluorescence stick out. Once the water's crystal clear, that'll sure look interesting. But it looks like an 80s disco. Yeah, look at that, that's cool. Nice and fluoro. So it actually looks pretty cool. Where is everyone? They're all, are they avoiding the 80s disco?
I wonder if they can see colour.
Yeah, they can. They can see in colour. Yeah,
They can?
because colour is one of the main things they look for breeding and so forth.
Ah.
They'll actually look at how colourful an individual is and for who they're attracted to. What people say to me is they say how lucky I am that I've got a job that I enjoy and that I'm passionate about something. But something that I've really learned is that passion is governed by knowledge. So you get to choose your passion governed by your knowledge. If you get a fish tank, you'll find at the start you're really interested in it. And I believe one of the reasons why you're so interested in it is you tend to just keep learning more and more about it. And at the moment that you stop learning, that's the moment that you stop being as interested, in my opinion. So no matter what you want to be interested in life, I reckon if you learn as much as you can about it, the passion comes later. So you learn and you learn and you learn, then you identify with it more, you understand it more, and then your passion starts to follow your knowledge, and then you start being rewarded by it, and then it becomes like a life passion. If you stop learning, I believe that's when your passion can die off. So YouTube is a wonderful thing. I'd suggest on a regular basis, if you're interested in fish, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel, Majestic Aquariums TV. And there's a search bar there. So every now and then, just write something in the search bar, watch a few videos on that particular subject if you want to learn more about a certain fish or a certain filter or a certain product. But at the same time, I post videos very often. It's very good just to watch the videos being posted, because you'll find you'll pick up a little bit of knowledge about this and a little bit of knowledge about that, and it allows you to keep learning. So if you tried to watch a few videos every few days or whatever works for you, then your knowledge will just keep growing and your passion will keep growing. Now, in saying that, I'm a big believer that change is king. And I found that especially during the 90s, every single house had an aquarium for a few years. And what I found is that a household would get a fish tank. They'd absolutely love it. They'd all learn about it. It'd be a wonderful bonding experience for everyone. And then after a while, they've sort of seen it. And then eventually it goes on to the giveaway pile, or it gets broken down. But I never ever got sick of fish, and I believe the reason why I never got sick of fish is because I was aware that if I walked past my tank and I didn't have to sneak a look at it, then I'd swap stuff around. I'd change my decoration, I'd change my fish, and that little change every now and then is what keeps you interested, I believe. So I really believe that change is king, and the more you keep learning about any subject, the more you're interested in it, and then your passion and love for that subject will grow over time, and it grows after your knowledge. It isn't necessarily that you're passionate about something and then you go and learn all about it. You've got to be a little bit patient. And these days people don't like being patient. Everyone wants to be an expert straight away, but it takes years to be an expert. Because when you start learning about fish, you know you don't know anything about them. And then you go through a phase where you start to learn a little bit about them. And that's when you think you're an expert. And then as you learn more and more, you realize there's so much you don't know. And then after a while, you've been keeping fish for as long as me. And then you don't even think you're an expert anymore because it's just another portion of what you can learn. And you can always keep learning. Our Majestic Aquarium's Easy Water Ager. Now this water ager is an all-in-one water ager. So it's going to set your GH, KH, pH, remove your chlorines and chloromones and so forth. Now, the thing that this is great for is quickly setting up an aquarium or quickly doing a water change. It is really a really wonderful product. But as with everything, it does need to be, the levels do need to be monitored over time, because over time the KH of water does tend to deteriorate and the GH of water does tend to build up. So though this is a great starting point for a product, there is no product that I recommend that substitutes for water testing, because over time things do accumulate in the water and things do deplete from the water. So if you just bring us a water sample anytime you're adding new fish, that's really, really important. Because what can happen is your fish can be totally fine, but your fish might be used to certain water conditions which may have very well deteriorated over a period of months, weeks, or even years. Then you come along to my shop and you want to buy some fish, and your water might actually be quite different to mine. But your fish might be actually totally okay, because your fish are used to your water. And then what happens is you buy my fish are totally happy in my water, but my water is quite different to your water. Then you put your fish in the tank and then the fish gets sick. And the reason why the fish have got sick is because the fish that you bought off me are not used to your water, and your water might not actually be that good. But as far as you're concerned, your fish were fine, and then you put my fish in and then your fish got sick. So as far as you're concerned, that's the problem of my fish. But most of the time, that's not true. Most of the time, it's your water that's deteriorated, and then your water is slightly different to mine, and it's different enough that when you put my fish into your tank, my fish get shocked, and then my fish get sick, and that can even make your fish sick. And that's not fun. So if you want to avoid that, just do not buy fish unless you've let me check your water. I'll run it through my spin test machine. And then if something's wrong with your water, maybe your pH has changed, maybe your KH has changed, maybe your nitrates build up, and then I can tell you to fix it, then I can recheck it before you go and buy new fish and then get yourself in a problem like this. And water changes are something we want to do on a semi-regular basis. The more fish we have, the more regularly the water should be changed. If you change a quarter of the water, let's say once a month, that's pretty normal. If you get heaps of fish, you really should be doing it more. If you don't have too many fish and you're feeding good quality food, some people get away with doing it less. And we can monitor that by your nitrate levels.